Hello everybody and welcome to another list video. This week we're going to be talking about, 3 cards. No, buckle up. It's 5 cards that we want to be tabooed, or if they're already on the taboo list, we want them to be tabooed differently. This is all, of course, normally I don't say this in one of these videos, but this is obviously all of our own opinions. We're going to present cards and why we think, or what we think that card should be potentially changed to. We might have some ideas, or just why we think this card doesn't work the way it does, or is just a bit too ubiquitous that we're tired of seeing it everywhere. Or we want to see more of. We want to see more of it too, right? So Bryn.
My choices are objectively correct.
Yes. What is your number 1?
So, I got Fence. The issue I've got with this card is, at what point does it ever become better than just playing Lone Wolf? Like, I have to pay 3 money and a card up front for something that doesn't even do anything until I find more illicit cards? Like, it's just kind of awkward. Like, sure, I will grant you, using this card to play illicit firearms in some sort of firearm-focused deck, probably pretty good, or like at least acceptable. Making weapons fast is much stronger than making other types of items fast.
Mm-hmm.
Feels like it costs too much, Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think I am.
I don't know. It's one of those things that, like, when you've never played with a card and it's your color to play, that might be that the card's just not there, right?
Yeah, I've played it in like 2 standalone games that I've played, and both times I never wanted to play or see this card. There was like never a turn where I was like, man, if I can find my Fence, this deck can really pop off. No, it's just like,
yeah, it's more
I
just
kind of
wasted
like 2 XP on copies of Fence.
Yeah. Do you have any suggestions of what you would propose for a change, or just kind of like generally you want to see it better?
Like generally better, but I wouldn't mind seeing Fence itself be fast. I think that would help to offset the initial investment cost, because this has a huge hill to climb.
Yeah.
Like, I'm already out an action 3 resources in a card.
And
how many illicit assets do I need to play?
Yeah.
Before I'm starting to get ahead.
Yeah, and then
what if it drew you a card after you played an illicit asset?
Yeah. No, that is much or like even just gave you the choice, like when you would play an illicit asset, like either it's fast or it costs 1 less, or
draw a card.
I don't know. Yeah, draw a card.
Like a mini that 5 experience ally.
Yeah. Chuck Ferguson.
Yeah. Like, I will say, illicit cards are so much worse than tricks.
No,
yeah, like I think what this card really suffers from is a lack of illicit things. Like if there was a pile of illicit events, it'd be a lot better.
Yeah, definitely. And maybe because like we still have Michael McGlenn. He's gonna be blue though. But like maybe we'll see some.
Is he gonna be blue?
He's gonna be blue or green.
He's a criminal.
He's a criminal. It's true.
He's a criminal.
No, he's gonna be our Norman Withers allegatory for like. He starts green, he transfers into blue.
Oh, let's go.
That would be cool.
Or maybe he starts blue and transfers into green. I don't know what his backstory is.
He's the gangster with the heart of gold. My number 5 is Eucatastrophe. I've never played the Silas Eucatastrophe combo deck. It seems very boring to me, and I think Silas is strong enough without needing to do this. And I think effects like this... One. Sorry, Travis?
I thought you had played that once.
No, I've only played Eucatastrophe and Patrice. I've never played it in Silas.
No. I have like a vague recollection of you using this, but I could be wrong.
It might have been in my Patrice deck. It might have been.
Maybe.
But I just think this card should remove itself from the game to prevent looping. I just think it's very strong of an effect that I think should not loop. That's all.
Strongly agree.
Yeah. Travis,
My choice is Stella Clark. My complaint isn't with anything that her card actually does, but I don't understand why she gets 3 copies of neither Rain nor Snow. Like, she really should only get 1. That's a lot. Like, it's incredibly powerful skill. She's already in the class that has the skills or like the options to recur it.
Yep.
And like other characters don't get 3 copies of their incredibly powerful personal events for the most part.
I remember someone commented, I think on our tier list for all the investigators, that said neither Rain nor Snow is essentially just water protection. And when I read that, I was like, no, it's not. And then I played Stella, and I'm like, oh, it is. Like, it's
yeah, just... like I don't understand why it works for other people or why you get 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so much.
Yeah.
I understand the design of the card. It's fine. Like, you get to do a test and you get to trigger all your failing effects without having to worry about actually failing.
Mm-hmm.
But
just a bit much.
Yeah, or like maybe if it gave you like a negative symbol, and then you don't suffer any negative effects of the thing to play into her.
Or even just like
theme.
You get 3, but it makes it so like, oh no, man. I agree though. It's too strong. I think Stella is a bit overtuned personally, but
yeah, like I think that as most of it is fine. Just why do you get 3 copies of the personal card? Like, it's also the one of the few personal cards that is the class of its character. So why wouldn't you be able to get it back with Survivor?
Yep.
Right. I mean, with
Resourceful.
Not Survivor, with Resourceful.
Yeah.
That card is actually just synonymous with the class in my mind. Like Mandy has to play 50 cards to get access to 3 of hers. Lola gets 2 of hers, but she's a garbage character. What's her face? Green character that Bryn likes, Painterly.
Oh.
Yeah, but that's kind of like her. She needs that to function, right? Like.
Yeah, she also plays a 42 card deck.
Yeah. Maybe I think even just going to 1, that card's still strong, and like you'll see it because like you draw a lot of cards with Lucky Rabbit's Foot, right?
Yeah, like how come she gets 3 and what's her face? Man, I'm awful with the names today. Winnie only gets 1 of hers.
Mm-hmm. It's like, and even just like because the True Survivor Resourceful combo, even if you just got 1, that tunes it down a lot, right? Like,
yeah.
Being able to get 2 and then do it again is strong. Mm-hmm. Wow, all this discussion already on the first one. That's so exciting. Let's go on to our number 4, shall we? Bryn, what's yours?
Oh, I've got Mr. Rook.
Look at this page!
Yeah. This guy's just hugely problematic.
You're problematic.
What I would like to see changed about him is instead of just making him cost a big pile of XP, so it's like not in the first scenario, but every scenario after that. Mm-hmm. I would like to see him, like, you still get to choose 3, 6, or 9, but also if you see a weakness, you don't get the other card.
Yeah, like Mandy's.
You have to take the weakness, and that's it. That's all you get. And then I think he would be pretty fair at like maybe 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a similar reason for him being on the list, where I would like to see him again be at like 1 or 2 experience, and have him just like choked at. You have to look at 6. You don't get to pick 3 or 9. It's just 6.
He costs 4 experience with his current taboo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like when he's insane, he's still insane. It's just a tax on your deck, on your experience. But like for every other investigator where you don't want him, like man, I'm so tired of playing with Dr. Milan Christopher. Not because he's like too good. It's just the other options are kind of garbage.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Rook at least gave me another option back when he was legal, even if it was back when he was level 0, even if it was too good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I would like to see. I think, like this is not a 4 XP ally. or
No.
should not be a 4xp ally anyway. I think this guy needs his text changed a little bit rather than increase in price to buy him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even if you could only like find a certain, even if you could like only dig up an event or something like that, and then he still feels like he's part of like Mandy's card suite because she gets to play events and skills from a second color, and not the assets or something like that. And then like shave 1 or 2 experience off him.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
Yeah, or maybe you have to pick before you spin him.
Yeah,
like what kind of card you want to find.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that'd be good too.
Yeah.
I like to see him. He's like basically unplayable outside of Mandy
yes. Yeah.
It's just so much experience.
Yeah. Now with Mandy, like, and this actually like goes into what I'm saying. What I'm about to say is like now Mandy is kind of nerfed, where just like okay, my first 8 experiences are to Mr. Rook, right? Because
it's super boring.
Yeah, I need them and I want them. My number 4, as you can see, is Mandy Thompson, surrounded by her two best friends. I think Mandy is very strong and kind of it's very dull that your first 8 experience is now on Mr. Rook. But I do think that if Mr. Rook got cheaper and Mandy stayed the same, that it would be like the same thing all over again. I think Mandy's biggest strength right now is her consistency, and I think my gut says I would love it. I think no matter what, the 30 card minimum should be cut from her thing. It has to be 40 or 50 because it's just too consistent at 30. And like she's still very strong at 40 or 50. Like the jump right into the deep end of the pool says I would love it if she was 50, right? But then she's like, it loses a bit of the thing. But I do think that the 30 should be removed from her deck building thing for size.
If you guys let me play with Mr. Rook at level 0 again, I will play exclusively 50 card Mandy decks.
Like, you play a 60 card Mandy deck?
Like,
I would play a 60 card Mandy deck even without the extra research event.
Like, it's still strong, right? Like, a 50 card deck, you can still do good things with Mandy because she can be so consistent. But I think what makes her broken is the 30 card thing.
It's how consistently you can churn through your deck.
Yeah, exactly.
To set yourself up where you can just look at the same 12 cards every turn.
Yeah, I also do think I don't imagine they'll ever taboo stats, but I still think her having 5 in book is kind of like wild as well because she's already so good at what she does. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. No, like I like their ambition with making her have a variable deck size. But I think, especially when it comes for like newer players or people who aren't as franchised as us, entrenched in the game, it's like really overwhelming to have to sit down and evaluate this character and like which of the 3 classes you're gonna play, but also how big your deck is gonna be.
Yeah,
it's a lot to take
in. It's all good. You get to sit down and you're playing a Seeker from turn like part of the game 0. Like deck building, you're already looking for answers.
Yeah.
You're trying to figure it out.
See, I was up all night doing the math for my Mandy deck.
And like,
draw some cards
I think Mandy's flavor is also like a home run. She really feels like she's, like researching and learning more as the game and campaign goes on. She's just, she's busted still, and she hasn't been fixed enough.
Yeah, I think she'd be really cool if they, I think the 50 card, if it was like a hard 50 cards, and then maybe they like bumped up her off color by a couple cards
to like 15. Yeah,
like 2 to 15 or 12 to 15, somewhere in there. I think that would make her a lot more flexible and like just cool,
more fun too, because you're kind of like, what's my toolbox going to give me this game? All right, let's go to our number 3s, starting with Bryn.
So I don't want to just come in here and screech, like card bad, but like it is. Bad. It really is. Like you paid 5 experience for it. Okay, fair enough. If you're playing at my table, I'm probably making fun of you for not just buying a big gun. Like relentlessly. Until you don't ever play this card again.
Green on elite enemies.
Yeah, like the one time that I've ever played with this card and felt like it wasn't complete garbage, I was probably also cheating. So Yeah, I don't even think I was allowed to play it in the deck.
Amazing.
Huh. But yeah, like I mean, like I get why you can't ever just be defeating an elite enemy in a single action.
See you
I get
later,
that.
Yogg Sothoth.
Yeah, but like, how is that worth 5 XP? Like, sure, there are some non-elite enemies that are like kind of tough, but very few of them wouldn't just be beaten by being like, this is a lightning gun.
What if it like dealt the non-elite enemy, but then it deals like a variable of player damage to an elite enemy?
That'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be neat. I wouldn't mind seeing this card just like at, I don't know, maybe 3-ish XP.
Yeah, that'd also be a pretty clean.
Like I think that would be a pretty reasonable place to put it, because non-elite enemies are not that. There's very few of them that you're killing with it that you wouldn't just kill with a big gun and then kill 2 more of them too.
Yeah, they could have a health cap on it as well. Like if this attack is successful and the enemy has 10 or less remaining health, just kill it. Or again, like you tie the player count into that, so that way you can use it to finish off a big elite without just gorping it.
Yeah.
Because like obviously it cannot be allowed to just gorp elite enemies in a single fight action. That's fair. That's fair.
Shadow death or whatever.
I completely understand that. The part of this that I'm not happy with is the fact that it costs 5 XP.
Yeah. I mean, this was from the Dunwich Legacy too, so it's pretty old in the design cycle, right? I imagine it would be a lot different today.
And Dunwich is like the part of the game where I might ever want this.
Yeah.
But still, like there are not... there just aren't enemies that exist that fill that space.
It's one of those things as well that it's so wild that the level 0 version of this card is like pretty strong, and then this one's like, oh no.
Yeah. I think this card was a good include when they print it. Like you said, it's really strong, the Dunwich Legacy, and back then there just weren't that many options to fight big enemies. Like if you had your lightning gun, you didn't want to spend that on a big enemy, because on a Dark Young or whatever, or an Avian Thrall, because you needed that for other things. And what are your other options? You're playing Machete and the 45, 41.
Yeah, no. It just feels like incredibly clunky where it's sitting right now.
Yeah, at this point now.
Oh yeah, no, it's trash now. 100%.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what I've got to say about that one.
My number 3 is Deny Existence, but I actually want a very simple change for this one. I just think it should not be usable on weaknesses. I think it kind of, Sister Mary, it just makes her weakness nothing. And that's all. I think Deny Existence, it's like a strong card, but I think it's also very fair for level 0, and I think it's very important for a lot of people who can get this purple splash as well. But the fact that you can just have 10 blessed tokens in the bag, draw your Crisis of Faith, and then ignore the horror damage is wild, and I think busted.
Yeah, it didn't even occur to me you could use this on weaknesses. That's nuts.
Yeah.
Get that out of here.
Yeah, and I think otherwise the card's good. I think just that change is needed.
No, that's fair.
Travis, what's your number 3?
I got a watchable piece. This is a relatively new card. And admittedly, I actually haven't had the opportunity to play with it yet. But I read this, and I have seen the Blessing decks in action, and getting 5 tokens to your deck is not that difficult.
Not hard.
Doable, every other turn without trying. And like you, Catastrophe, I do not understand why this card does not remove itself from the game. This is an insanely powerful effect. The game doesn't get to play for a turn. And that's really cool, and it's flavorful, and the cost is appropriate for that, I think. But you should not be able to recur it with red cards. Or at all.
Yeah. Oh yeah, just this into Resourceful. Ooh, that feels
busted. Recursion is a very dangerous mechanic. You can see it. Anything that plays with the graveyard inevitably becomes a monster in every game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're edging closer and closer to that with every new cycle.
When Travis said this was on his list, I said, for me, I want to taboo it to have Silas lose his shirt, because this is...
oh, yes. It is weird to see him in a shirt.
This is an affront to Cthulhu. Like, this is like... Silas should be out there with his pecky glory all the time. He also really looks like James, from people who watch our channel. Like, that's a shirt James has and he has worn. So, yeah.
When we inevitably do our multiplayer, or not inevitably, but hopefully ever do our multiplayer, Labyrinth of Lunacy run, or one of the other ones, you just abduct James and you have to wear this.
I'll get him to cosplay Silas for sure. All right, let's go to our number 2s. Bryn, what do you got?
I've got the Song of the Dead. Yeah. So.
Play us your song, Jim.
Yeah. Yeah. I just don't want this card to use charges. Yeah. How in the hell can you sit me down and tell me that it is fair for Sixth Sense to not use charges, but this has to? Come on.
This also costs you experience.
Yeah, I paid 2 to put this in my deck. This is Wither. This is Wither all the time, except that I only get to use it 5 times.
Yeah. Yeah. Bryn has very eloquently said my point. I think that this is kind of crazy at 2 experience. It should either be tabooed to be at 2 experience and have no charges, or free and have 5 charges. That's my thought on it. I do think the no charges is cleaner and makes more sense, and I understand that there's a lot of worry that with token manipulation, you can do busted things with this, like attack for 3 damage pretty consistently. But even then, that's like a perfect magical Christmas land where Jim Sculver actually can draw a skull token from the goddamn cup. Because I'll tell you what, it happens very rarely, if ever, when you need it. And then the person next to you draws a skull, and you get to play your trumpet for them, and that's great. But then on your turn, you just try to use a charge off this, and then you're just like, all right, I'll attack this guy at +1 brain for 1 damage. I've done it. Yeah, card needs a little bit of a buff.
Needs a little bit of help.
Yeah. And if we do end up getting into the territory where yeah, sure, maybe you can attack for 3 without using a charge fairly consistently, you're never going to be in the world where you get to do it every single time you want to.
Yeah.
And even if that becomes a problem, you can just change it, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'd even take it with Jim at
back.
3 experience and no charges. I think that's, even if they're worried too much, I think that's still a change that in Jim would be great.
I think 4 experience and no changes is pretty fair, and no charges is pretty fair, actually. I think that's pretty on par with
that's what 6
Sense, Wither level 4 is slightly subpar card, but I think that's pretty close.
Yeah. I just want to see this card better because I'm always dreaming about Jim Culver, man.
Travis just coming in here. I think 4 XP and no changes is fair.
Yeah. All right, Travis, what's your number 2?
What the fuck? This is Arcane Research. I am tired of putting this card in every purple deck, and I would like to see this limited 1 per deck, or to cause 2 mental trauma apiece, or I honestly wouldn't mind just seeing this card banned.
Yeah.
I hate how every purple card has to have its experience adjusted, or every purple spell has to have its experience adjusted to account for, or you can buy it for 2 less.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big part of why Rise of Seeking is better than the others investigating options, is because once you put level 0 Rise of Seeking in your deck, the other 2 experience copies are 2 and 4, so you just actually get them for free over the course of the campaign.
Yeah.
And yeah, as much as I love not having to pay experience from upgrade ward protections, this card's just too good.
Yeah, it's too good, and it's one of those things where like a lot of the time you see those effects and you're like, I would love to be able to have this consistently in my deck. Like even like Fence, right? Like having that be permanent, like just being able to have like now my deck can do this, but like this is the risk. This card shows like why such a thing is a risk, because then it just becomes too easy and like just something you have to do because it's
like most purple characters get high sanity anyway.
Yeah.
And or like even players who can, or characters who can play 0 to 2 purple or like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just 16 free experience over the course of the campaign. That's insane.
Yeah, for just 2 trauma, and purple has a lot of brain healing or soak as well. Like
and soak, like that's ridiculous. Like if you just sat down for a campaign, someone was like, yeah, you get 2 free experience every scenario. That's ridiculous. Yeah. Sorry, 14, I guess. The experience you get for the last one doesn't matter, but
yeah, and then you have like green. It's like, here's Sharon Zobel, but if you die, you're dead.
If you die, you die.
I also hate that card for different reasons, but
yeah.
I would like to see. Well, I didn't put that on this list, so I'm not going to talk about it.
I'm sure in the future we could definitely do a list like this again. As you can see from these 15 cards, obviously a little bit less, we have a lot to talk about with them. Mm-hmm. Let's get to our number ones, shall we? Bryn, what's yours?
I got double or nothing. Now you're probably thinking, but Bryn, you can't even play this card in this game anymore. And you're right. I just want to be able to play with it again. I think this card is a lot of fun. I understand that the way it is right now, it's like it's not double or nothing. It's just double.
Mm-hmm.
There's no nothing here. I don't know what has to change to make it work, but like a lot of things need to change. It can't just be double the value, the difficulty of the skill test. There's no uncertainty there. It's too easy to just be like, cool, well, like, red token or bust.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, maybe if the test that is committed to, you reveal like a certain subset of tokens, possibly ones that have an illustrated symbol instead of a printed effect.
Mm-hmm.
Your skill test fails. I don't know, something like that. Maybe you gotta
commit other cards to test.
Yeah, maybe you can't commit other cards to the test, or
it can only give you like the base thing that you're doing. So like if you're investigating, it can only give you like extra clues, or if you're fighting, it can only do extra damage. Instead of like doing that and also giving you 4 extra actions or whatever.
Or even like the any skill cards you commit to this test, like treat their text box as blank, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I don't know.
I do know in the thing where they
change.
said, sorry, Brent, I think I interrupted you.
Oh, good.
Because I believe in the last thing when it was put in on the forbidden list or whatever it is, there was a write-up saying that they've workshopped a lot of ideas on the back end for this one. And I imagine there's a lot. Like we just came up with a bunch on here. But I also understand like the risk that this card poses in like the design of that, especially with skill cards, is skill cards get stronger and stronger as the game goes, right?
I just want to be able to one-shot or Mordoth with a shotgun.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
I understand. We'll do a non-taboo run. We'll do on like Mr. Rook, Mandy. We'll just go wild, and then you can double or nothing, and then you'll draw the auto fail and be like, egads.
Sounds, I am undone.
My number one shouldn't be too much of a surprise to people who watch on our channel a lot. I think Pete Sylvester should be tabooed. I think when Jessica Hyde came out, I was like, this is brilliant. This is what Pete's going to be. And somehow he's too fast for them to catch to taboo him. He's just running around everywhere. I play with him a lot because he's good. Granny Orn now, to me, is like competitive enough. And even like, I mean, I was going to say that new guy who's basically lucky, but he needs to be in a blessed deck, which kind of makes him... That's a whole other discussion. The parasitic kind of thing where like that mechanic, you can only really play it when you're going all in on it. But Pete Sylvester, I think, is still the best ally in Survivor. Granny Orn's a very close second, but Just the fact that, like, it's so hard to die when he's in play. And if he came in like Jessica Hyde, I think he'd be better. And, like, he wouldn't be as much of an auto-include because he takes some time to get going. It doesn't sound like a big change, but 2 turns for him to get active can actually matter. Especially, like, if he dies and then you play another one. Like, that's a lot of time you're just waiting for your soak to be online. And he still gives you a foot and a brain, and those are great stats in red.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pete's not, like, over the top busted. He's just, like, a little too good.
Yeah, he's just a little bit too.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing him move to 3 XP because that's where allies like him sit. Where like they buff two of your skills and they do another thing.
Yeah.
Like Granny Orr.
Yeah.
She buffs 2 of your stats, she does another thing. Or Delilah O'Rourke or Lola Santiago.
Personally, I would like to see him move to mirror his experience cost and the ability to mirror Jessica Hyde, and then also ban level 0 Pete Sylvester, because Jessica Hyde doesn't have a level 0 version.
Yeah, just make them.
And then they would be
BFFs.
the same and balanced, just like their stats are.
Yeah.
And then everything would be good.
Travis, what's your number 1?
This is Prax Make Perfect. I'm tired of playing this card in my yellow decks. I'm tired of shoehorning extra skills into my deck because I need to play them to make this card good, and like I can't not play this card because it's so good. Like every yellow deck, I'm like, man, I'm gonna play Deduction because it gives me extra clues. Because like, why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
I'm gonna play Perception because investigating is good, and I'm like, man, I wish I could just use my deductions more often. Here's Practice Makes Perfect.
Yeah,
It's like,
Kate
yeah, you
Winthrop.
can.
She's like, don't worry, I heard you.
Yeah, this card should cost experience.
And
This
then,
card should only look top 6, so you have to like play it in a dedicated skill deck or like something, man.
yeah, it's a bit like just it adding to your hand too at the end, right? Like maybe a bit more it's a bit less, like instead of it like going into your hand, any effect on the skill happens twice, right? So like then deduction's still a bomb, but you have to use it all in one location, right? Makes it
Yeah, but you can't use it to just vacuum up two locations worth of clues with deduction level 2.
Yeah.
Maybe you can't play it during other people's actions. That would be a pretty big buff or a pretty big nerf too.
Yeah.
Maybe your garbage clue getter doesn't need to get 3 clues on his action, and then it's your turn and you also get 3 clues on your action.
I would like to see thematically this card only work on an action that you've already taken an action of that type.
Oh yeah.
During
Yeah,
your
that'd
turn.
be cool.
So then it's like you gotta practice.
Or like if it's Practice Makes Perfect,
But
the
that's
first time just puts this, it just counts the skill icons but not the text, so it's literally practice and then it's perfect the second time.
That'd be cool if the text box was blank.
Yeah. Albeit that does make a problem with Promise of Power, which is already its own kind of thing, right? Because even that card being practiced, I'm like, how? How is that practiced?
Yeah, this card's pretty good. This card's pretty good at purple cards. Being able to play like Practice Makes Perfect, and I believe Prophesy is also practiced.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you though, Travis. It's very boring to be building a yellow deck and be like, all right, I need to include my 6 to 8 practice skills because I need Practice Makes Perfect because I want to play Deduction 4 times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that video was sick. That was a good time. That
was a good video.
Yeah, so everyone watching, if you want to see more of this one, let us know. That was a 34 minutes of fun. What cards do you guys want to see tabooed? Do you disagree or agree with anything on our list? If you agree, I might give you a heart on YouTube. And those don't mean anything, but they make me feel good when I see them. Thanks for watching. We'll be back next week with another list video. Have a good one. And as always, GG's.